ladies and Germans. How you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we return you to this monthly tournament on Kosa Streets to see who fight against who and with what.
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have Lepanto 1588 playing Toulon with a balanced income. Right-hand side in the red, we have Yabo playing 6 Airborne with a Maverick income.
I feel like it's somehow suiting that Toulon is being played by a guy with the name of Lepanto. Just because, like, you have all those Kriegsmarine troops coming on in, we got these Maros, we got Marine Infantry. You know, with a name like Lepanto, I'm looking for some really, really decisive kind of naval action on this field.
Yeah, we haven't seen Toulon in a hot minute, which is a shame because they're a really awesome division, which Eugene added. And, I mean, both sides, once again, very infantry focused, not a whole lot of tanks. You know, a little bit more heavy artillery and anti-air action from Lepanto's side, which should definitely help out quite a bit against the 6 airborne, potential airborne spam from the sky, that is.
Well, thankfully there is no like true airdrop spam because that would be broken AF. I don't know, can you imagine that? I mean, geez, it was back on Company of Heroes.
No, it's dropping in behind enemy lines and sniping artillery units. But we're already seeing sniping of Tempest up north, knocking out some Kriegsmariners.
Yeah, and just gotta get a good look at this over here. These Landesschützen are probably one of the few Landesschützen squads that, in my mind, are actually not half bad because at least they have a light machine gun over here.
Yeah, they got some sort of firepower. Like, yeah, honestly, a lot of the Kriegsmarine infantry isn't too terrible. I mean, even got the... I bloody love the submarine guys, where they have the 3 machine guns and...
Oh, yeah.
Also fanatical, because that's what being on a submarine does to a guy.
Ironic, actually, because they were noted to have like some of the worst morale in the entirety of the German, forces. Super lax regulation. Like people were totally okay with being like F Hitler, like on the actual boat. Because what are we gonna do to him? Like, congratulations, you're gonna throw him off the boat.
Yeah, that's how you flood it. But in the center, we are seeing a big push here from Yabo. Flamethrowers leading the charge on Oxen Bucks. We do have, well, I say dreaded Maros. They're not as scary as they were on the initial release, as they no longer have that Molotov, but, 12 Beretta submachine guns is still pretty nasty.
Now, what isn't nasty is the fact that they only have 150-meter range. So, if you put your nice little rangefinder over here on these guys, they are still dreadfully out of range right now. So these are ambush predators now. They are no longer really true line infantry.
Yeah, it sort of pulled them back a little bit, so it'd only be covered in the forest at 150 meters. They expose himself a little bit too much here, but there we go. As you see, yeah, you don't need the Molotovs. I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's spray and pray.
Yep.
Pentagon RSO, by the way, being brought up to the front. I love this thing. It is a hideous beast. It's huge for no reason. Oh yeah. Tetrarch Little John's also being kind of drummed on in. The very late 2-pounders, because apparently they couldn't possibly be on time, engaging and taking out that 39H. Like you said, this is not a vehicle-focused kind of fight, but that's not to say that there aren't weapons platforms that can be terrifying on both sides. So the Stogs over here for Toulon. I would argue the Cromwells are decent, but not stellar. I mean, these guys can still pack a punch, just very, very rarely.
Yeah, it's another battle where the Tetrarchs can actually perform quite well, because apart from the Stugs, there's nothing all that scary in terms of armor value which can stop him. Heck, actually, the 39Hs do have pretty good armor, but not enough against, I mean, a regular Tetrarch can still kill them. And you're seeing these Little Johns just go to town. The main problem, of course, once again, of the Tetrarchs is the lack of high explosives, which can be quite nice against a very infantry-focused division.
But we do see Pentagon goes down, and he gets 4 of those. I would say he only gets 4 of those, but he gets 4 of those overall. Yeah. Now, one thing we didn't see here from the 6th Airborne, which we kind of have seen over here this past Tuesday, is that massive air power opening. In your mind, is that the way to go?
That's a good question, because once again, if you playing like a Maverick income and you get a lot of airplanes early on, it's pretty cool because you can bomb the absolute crap out of people. But if you invest too much into that, you don't have any ground forces, which you kind of need. I think for really like 6 Airborne, you want to try and invest as much in the ground as possible, and then when you start encountering heavy resistance in places, then you just kind of level the city blocks until your oxen bugs can make the progress. And right now, Yabo is making progress. He's got the 1410, he's slowly pushing through the center, and he's got a pretty good foothold up north, so he can continue to just, play the ground game, even bringing in a 75mm howitzer.
And I feel like that's an unsung hero of the 6th Airborne that you really want to have. Ooh, wow, there is
Yes.
a ridiculous amount of anti-air already.
Yeah, that's a Toulon, right? Yeah.
I always kind of forget how crazy that can be. Oh, man.
Even have the 105 naval guns, like anti-aircraft, anti-tank, which are ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ridiculously excited to see those again. Tetrarch up to the north. Yep. The Tetrarch Little Johns have been devastating against this lighter Toulon armor.
Yeah, at close range, that Little John is absolutely deadly. Just thinks he has scree spore technology. And we're seeing Yabo just mop up through the forest. I mean, there's a lot of Maros in the forest, but also those Canadian Airbornes can slap back pretty hard with their gammon bombs.
Unfortunately, those Maros might be better if they were plumbers, because in forests, not really their home battlefield, let's call it. I mean, yes, they still could be, but again, they're not being deployed, unfortunately, very effectively to places to their strengths.
Yeah, there's this Airlanton troop after getting some pretty good long-range shots here. It's just about getting in close, of course, and icing in the Maros, having that 50-meter extra range with their SMGs. Makes a pretty big difference, but Yabo is still making very good progress in the far northern side of his forest. He's going to be able to get into that flag, and his infantry do have a little bit more anti-tank, which is definitely going to help out, as those Panzer 39s are going to be barreling their way up north.
Very, very true. And the Maros, despite the fact that they tried to have a brilliant, kind of brave last stand go down, and we're up to 15-9.
Yeah, this is a very effective push so far here from Yabo. Lepanto just hasn't been able to really gain much momentum. Of course, he is playing the balanced, so he doesn't necessarily need to make major gains in the early game. He just needs to only be losing by a +1 point bleed. He cannot afford to keep up his +2.
That is very true. Forgive me, I was just watching in the middle as the Little Johns, without HE, are still very, very effective, it seems, in aggressing and, bedeviling that central kind of infantry positions. Down to the southern side, sleepy, quiet, that's nice.
Every time. Every time. I always wish people push more heavy down south, because it is such an unexpected flank to push, that even though it may not... It's actually not even that bad of terrain. You can move through the forest. It's not ideal, per se, compared to the comfort of town and forest fights up north, but just the surprise factor can really catch people by surprise.
And, surprise, as you know, is half the battle.
Yes.
And what surprised me actually has been those Little Johns. Wait a second, air landing troops coming across the open. Maros do have them in the open, and you know how this is generally going to go, and we are seeing it happen as we speak.
Yeah. Honestly, those Berettas might as well just be STGs.
Well, and those air landing troops might as well be executed.
Yeah.
Seriously, what? One squad and one abused squad took out a awful lot of digital little troopers there in very, very little amount of time.
If the Italians just built more Beretta M38 submachine guns, they would have won the war.
Well, you mean they want to capitulate as quickly?
Hmm.
Ah, okay. There's a strange position for a Landesschützen being brought up from the northern side. Maybe not the most noteworthy kind of moment here. Getting back to this town fight, though, again, Tetrarch Little Johns, not the greatest line of sight for a lot of it, but still terrifying enough that that 39H doesn't want anywhere close to that smoke.
Yeah, he's been using them pretty effectively in this nice little 2-pack here to blow up these tanks one by one, and he hasn't been suiciding them. He's been using them pretty defensively, which for Tetrarch is something you want to use a bit more defensively. I mean, just the lack of high explosive really limits, if you run into infantry, you're not going to have a good time.
Well, one of the rat pack over there goes down.
Tempest
One of the merry men, you might say.
Tries to come in, but the anti-aircraft is already too hot. But Yabo does have the counter, and that is 3 75mm pack howitzers, which is, honestly, such an unsung hero of the division, and frankly a very necessary one. Because when you get into situations like this, when the enemy has a lot of anti-air, you kind of need to blow that anti-air up to allow you to use one of the most important tabs in your deck.
I feel like that's such a thing for most airborne divisions.
Yeah.
By the way, we are going to see a push down south. We actually have seen 3 more squads being brought in, including 2 Brandenburgers, as Marine infantry. Tentative push for right now, but this could be a devastating southern hook, which has got to be pulled pretty quickly here as we head into Phase B.
Yeah, you really only have a limited amount of time to, utilize that surprise factor. Yabo does have a decent defense. His flamethrower troops can really act as traps and probably knock out a few Crease Marine infantry or 2. It's just about whether Yabo will notice in time and bring in heavy reinforcements, because he is already investing very heavily up north. And it is B-phase, so he does have a huge point advantage, so this is his time to shine.
Certainly seems to be the case. The Brandenburgs, will they debark before the main infantry attack happens? The answer to that is no. Good. I appreciate that. Sometimes, and I see players still do this. The game's been out for a while. I understand that if your opponent is making a play, your first impulse is, okay, I got to get these guys out first before they get hit by artillery fire, by, an airstrike or something. But if this is a quiet sector, you got to push that mobility, man. That's the most important thing for you.
Mm-hmm. And there we go. He's going to be launching the attack now. The Crease Marine taking the front. And it's going to be how damaging will these flamethrowers be. They have to buy a lot of time so Yabo can be relieved.
I don't see them doing. They're gonna go and cause 4 or 5 casualties. Literally just 4 or 5. I would think at the absolute most.
Yeah, it's really only better to get like 1 flame burst on, and there we go. They take heavy casualties. Really effective push here from Lepanto. And if he can keep up his momentum, he can probably capture this entire central tree line area. And we're seeing Yabo immediately bringing in reinforcements.
Central position, by the way, we do see 5 squads of AB engineers going up against the Maros. Which and this is when the Maros go down, is that you can't stick them and expect them to hold back the gates of hell. And hell has certainly come.
We're seeing a Junker 88 being brought on in just to try and... what's he bombing?
Yes, he's bombing too far back, though.
Yeah, that was mistimed, Joe, unfortunately. He probably could have... if that thing was just a little bit closer, could have got a good hit on the AB engineers, but hey! Black 88 is here to save the day.
Kind of a weird sentence to read. Or to say, rather. There it is. Okay, I was like, I couldn't find the stupid thing. There we go.
And we're still seeing Yabo invest pretty heavily in the far northern forest, bringing in some Grenadiers vote, but Lepanto does have some, I would say decent infantry, but now he's going to charge into a bunch of airborne troops and they just get moached on.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Pioneers, in the meantime, behind, taking out 2 squads of those Grenadier Voltigeurs, which is not the worst thing in the world. But it's very, very strange to see a Panzerschreck squad be quite that pillar.
Yeah, that's...
please.
No, that's just pretty cool. I forgot they have the bloody Panzerschreck.
Maybe a bit of a rush kind of scratch defense being thrown on in here. 3 more squads. Brandenburger kind of backed up by a Fuhrer to kind of give that necessary veterancy. A little bit of 30 on H's. I still don't think it's going to be enough. I think he's still going to lose an awful lot. But looking at where it is right now, if he just says, fine, I'll lose that northern approach, as long as I can take something else. Not the worst in the world.
Yeah,
It's great, but it's not the worst.
I don't, the far north is a very odd sector, because you can kind of afford to lose it, but at the same time, there's so much forest, which your enemy can just use to flank around and screw you from the behind. You kind of want to have it a bit under control by the road. That's like a very good defensive line. We're seeing heavy airstrikes there to stress out the airborne troops, and the Brandenburgers are coming in and completely mop them up. So very good 1-2 punch there from Lepanto. He should be able to once again get a good foothold into that northern town. He's honestly not doing... I mean, he's not doing great, of course, Lepanto, but there's another 5 minutes or so left in this phase. Once we get to C phase, the income heavily goes for his advantage. And if he can just kind of hold the line, and he can do that with Toulon, he can potentially, you know, just out-trade the airborne.
You know, I am watching as these basically capture this gun and this IG-33 pound the AB engineers, even with the 75 pack howitzers go after the 88. And down to the southern side, the AB engineers have shockingly been able to kind of stabilize, in part, I would argue, from all of this kind of Tempest kind of fighting here, and a lot of other squads being rushed into the fray. You know, I think the chances being missed over here by Lepanto. I think he had an opportunity, even just kind of move east to west here. That Brandenburger is falling back to the north, wide open. This was a prime place, I would argue, as an armor push. You're laughing, man. I think there could have been something here.
Oh no, there could have been. I was laughing at the Brandenburg just running out in the open. Very, you know, the most sneaky place is slap bang in the open. It's the last place they'd expect a special forces troop. But,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, honestly, I'm thinking more about this. The central push could work really well, because he can just kind of spam the anti-aircraft guns, which act as long-range anti-tank killers as well as keeping out aircraft. The problem, however, and we're seeing this right now, so 75mm howitzers are just deadly. He's using them to great effect to constantly barrage any and all flak and artillery guns, which is kind of Lepanto's bread and butter.
Now, this is a silly thing. Oop. Ju-88 hitting the AB Paris in the town, and he's second now. And that's the redevelopment effort. Well done. Okay. But the pack howitzers, unless he specifically starts to bring in Jeep supplies, they're down to their last ammunition loads.
Oh, that's a very good point. He does have a decent amount of Jeep supplies, but that would definitely take out, you know, units for the front line. And you do need to buy quite a lot of them, because they don't carry that much supplies, surprisingly enough. Only a Jeep's worth.
Now, looking to the south, there was a very brave half-track. He is now dead, as is his way. We're going to shape up another knife fight going off here in just a moment down to the south. Brandenburgers, more AB Paras, AB Engineers, got a lot of junk running into each other here.
Yeah, the Engineers were really the scary unit. The Paras, not so much. Not as great in terms of CQC value. You have the PH, but in this type of fight, they're going to be absolutely useless. So this could be into Lepanto's advantage. At the same time, it is a lot of Paras.
Yep. Yep. And they are in defensive position, so let's not forget that part too. It sounds ridiculous, but that initial burst of fire is a very, very telling thing.
Yes. Can kind of spread out the suppression here between 4 squads, and Lepanto's infantry is just a little bit too slow to come on in to save the day with those Kriegsmarine, and there's no other real fire support.
Of course, that said, the Paras, once they do take that suppression, there's an awful lot less firepower. And wait, 2 squads, I didn't even really realize this. 2 squads aren't even doing anything. Wait, to the northern side. Massive bombing run. Mosquitoes, Mozzie's going in like crazy. BF-109 is going to engage as well. The Brandenburgs are still alive. And so are the Mozzies. So there's going to be an attempt to get some insecticide going on here. Maybe one mosquito goes down, but no. Wow, I expected way more than that to be occurring. Down to the southern side, Tempest going in down here. This guy gonna hit the front of this engagement line and does very, very well. Geez, that's a very, very important engagement there.
Yup, and we are now hitting into C phase, so this is when the tables do turn in terms of income. Yabo can still win this, of course. I think 10, 11 minutes is reasonable for him to hold, especially considering just how well dug in he is up north. It's just about whether he can, keep up the momentum, keeps, making the bloody reference. He just needs to hold until relieved.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's have a lot of mozzies still.
He does. He does. That is certainly true.
No, oh, he's going to use it to bomb the flat gun, which wasn't doing an attack move, unfortunately. Oh, both. Who needs siege when you got mosquitoes?
Well, definitely little bloodsuckers out there, I can tell you that much. Ooh, a couple of Siskins getting picked off as well. So we're seeing resurgent armor threat to the south in these Daimlers and these Little Johns.
Huh.
So, yeah, wow. That, I would argue that should not be happening at this point. But, hey.
Yeah, I'm surprised he still has some left over. Not going to be the most effective, of course, because lack of high explosives, but when there's not a whole lot of other tanks or anti-tank nearby, they can do some decent damage.
They can do decent damage, that's for sure, yeah. I'm skeptical of them doing decent damage as well. But another wave of just smashing together, and this has become a grind fight, which is not what you want to be seeing whenever you're in airborne division, especially in the late stage.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't be winning those, I mean, generally.
In terms of armor, he's definitely lost quite a bit, and there's only so many Cromwells in Centaur 1 does have. He does have enough infantry, and I think it's really the pack archers just coming in clutch, knocking out those scary anti-aircraft guns, because any time Lepanto's going to make a push now, mosquitoes are going to come in and say, no push for you.
That's true, but there are still things like these Ju-88s.
Oh yeah, 2 of them.
Tempest going the other direction. Not really going for... Yeah, not really going for the intercept, which is surprising.
That's gonna be intercepting the anti-aircraft gun instead. Not getting the kill, but doing pretty good damage, and Cromwell finishing off the IG-33. Our Tempest tried to run in, but not gonna shoot any of him down.
Plus, I'm also kind of confused, I think, by a little bit more of the meager scratch defense that's here. Like the defense itself isn't a bad defense. It's just a fairly weak defense. I think that's confusing.
On south?
Yes.
Yeah, the Tetrarchs have managed to really exploit a hole in Lepanto's line. This run Tetrarch is just going for the home run.
Going for the home run is a very, very, very generous way of putting it. Buckwolf goes down here in the meantime, Tetrarch dies as well.
What a surprise.
And in a resurgent fight of here, a flak was feeling in the center. This is one of those quad mounted 37 mounts here.
The double mount, yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry, you're right. It is the double mount.
It's the classic from ST-44, 16th Luftwaffe. Right, you have one 37mm, and you can have 2.
Not, twice as nice and only half the price, really. So, absolutely correct there. KM, Marine infantry over here starting to engage the paras, and like you said, while the paras do have the numbers, they just don't have the same kind of durability.
Yeah, those Kriegsmarine troops are a lot of them, thankfully, because there's not much of a Kriegsmarine left to man. So it's honestly not looking too. I mean, Lepanto is so slowly losing, but I feel like he's starting to get a decent parity. I mean, look down south. There's barely anything. Well, from both sides, really is.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
barely anything. But he does have a lot of heavy fire support weapons, such as all the anti-aircraft guns, but also, once again, they're just getting artillery to hell and back and bombed as well. It's been very effective, just anti-aircraft operations here from Yabo.
Rounds complete from one of the pack howitzers. There's one remaining to the north that's got about 60%, and the other one's got basically under about 10%. And again, these constant Mozzie strikes, you're right. These have been death by, 1,000 sucks here.
It's coming in once again. It's just so funny seeing him use it so heavily on anti-aircraft composition. So the flag Zuvelin really going in hard, but not going to be able to shoot them down. Oh no, okay, never mind. He does shoot one down. Will he get the second? No.
Unlikely. Unlikely. AB Para is rushing onto the southern side. Apparently, they seem to think that there's a chance for a daisy chain of a push. I don't know that I like that very much. I understand why. But hey, it's 15-9. Lepanto just is not able to just regain any kind of constant momentum.
Yeah, Yabo's just kind of doing that, as you see with Maverick Income at this point, just crazy pushes here and there, just hold some important flags, and it's working really well for him. He pretty much has the game in the bag.
Certainly agree here. And one of those rare occasions where that Maverick imbalanced the game. I mean, I don't think it was won entirely over here in Phase A. Actually, I think it was in Phase B when, yes, there was the big change over here in terms of score. But I didn't think Lepanto was really going to fall quite so harshly. But what the heck happened here?
It's the pack characters. I think they've been such a key unit for Yabo. And that's, like, honestly one of the most important units for 6 Airborne. Because, as you saw, he, against a division which has a lot of very scary anti-aircraft weaponry, he's managed to keep those anti-aircraft weaponry not shooting by killing them. And then it's just been the constant Tempest and Mozzie strikes, which has seen time and time again, are just blowing everything up. And the Kriegsmarine and Brandenburg troops are great and all, but they need that fire support.
You're right, they have been killing a lot of things, but did you know that the fastest way of neutralizing a unit is to get it to surrender?
Really? Is that a tip? Is that a con tip?
Oh no, that is a bona fide SD2 tip.
Oh wow. You can surrender units in this game?
Usually it's just mine. I just press S
Oh.
and I press F to remember them. So
That's news to me.
Yeah.
I saw the flag thing. They're just like, oh no, they're just waving flags at each other. They're very into vexiology.
Oh, vexiology. Is that the study of being vexed?
Yes, vexed with
Yes.
flags.
yes. So vexology or vexiology, however you want to kind of go with it, that's absolutely correct. You do see a minor victory for the Red Devils.
Indeed, and a pretty close KD rise, but just very good momentum capture from Yabo.
Mozzies though too. I mean, there's maybe not a lot of kills from the Mozzies, but 105, 2, 3, 4 105s being taken out by Mozzies themselves.
Yep. Very effective strikes, and losses, IG-33 and Maro going absolutely ham.
Klein did okay. We definitely have some minor heroes here, but unfortunately, the Kriegsmarine not really afloat for today's match.
Oh, they've been sunk to the bottom of the ocean.
Certainly seems to be. But yes. Any final thoughts, sir?
No.
Well, in that case then, folks. Until next time, I'm Conolberg.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.